Okay, so we're continuing with Baal Shem Tov al Torah in Amud Hatefillah, all about Tefillah from the Baal Shem Tov's perspective. And now today we're going to start with actually one of my favorite stories about Tefillah, about prayer. We'll read inside for a few lines, and then we'll get to it, where specifically the Baal Shem Tov teaches us about the achdus that we have with each other when it comes to prayer. B'Shem Rabbeinu Baal Shem Tov Nishmaso begins a meromim. So we start by saying, in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, Ta'am lama asr lahaktim tefillah sol tefillah tzibor kedita b'gmara. So why can a person should not daven before the tzibor? Why a person shouldn't start their davening before everybody else is? So the idea of why a person shouldn't start their tefillah before the tzibor, before the community, before the rest of the group is davening. Now, the Baal Shem Tov said the importance of this. Why? Why is it so important? So there's a story where the Baal Shem Tov was davening, and he was there with his Hasidim, with his group of people that would daven with him. And in general, the Baal Shem Tov would daven for a very long time. He would daven for a long while, much longer than the rest of the Chevra that are in the minyan with him. Now, at one point, so they would learn, they would do whatever they would do, but they would stay there in the room. Now, one time someone had the idea. He says, the Baal Shem Tov is davening. He's up in Atzilus. He's up in another world. He's not going to know. Let's step out. Let's go home for a little bit, eat some breakfast, say hi to our families, get a little work done, and we'll come back, 30 minutes later, maybe an hour later, when the Baal Shem Tov finished davening, and he won't know, and we'll time it properly. So the Chevra did this. So they left. And they said, we'll get back early enough with enough time. If it took, it doesn't say the exact times, but if it took the Baal Shem Tov an hour, we'll come back after 45 minutes. So we'll assemble back into our positions. And then we'll be able to, when the Baal Shem Tov finishes, we'll continue with the davening. Now when they got there, earlier than the amount of time that the Baal Shem Tov usually finished his davening, they saw he was sitting. He was done with his davening. Now the question was, and he looked disappointed. He looked upset, sad. As they came in, the Baal Shem Tov said, I want to give you a story. I want to tell you something. So he said there was once a king. And this king noticed there was a certain treasure. There was this bird that he wanted to catch. He wanted to catch this bird. And the bird was on top of a tree. Now, they didn't have a ladder. So they said, what are we going to do? One person will stand on the next, and we'll create this human pyramid. And we'll go one on top of the other in a human pyramid to be able to get to this bird. And then we'll bring this bird back to the castle. Now, as they were climbing and climbing and climbing, and the person was about to reach, the king, the minister, was on top of the pyramid, it was about to reach the bird. Just then, somebody towards the bottom of the pyramid said, it's taking a while, I'm all the way here in the bottom, I don't know what's going on the top, and said, it can't be that important, and got up and left. Now, as you can imagine, if one of the supports on the base of a pyramid, right, leaves, that's your foundation, gets up and goes, what happens? The whole pyramid falls. The whole thing crumbles. Baal Shem Tov said, that's what happened here. What happened here? We support each other. In our davening, we create a human pyramid of sorts. And we support each other. And we draw from one another. And we give to one another. So when one person gets up and leaves, and I think this is the whole idea of Tefillah B'tzibor, this is what it means to daven with a minyan. The daven with a minyan is to show what? Is to show that together we have a sense of achdus. That together we reach a common goal in drawing close to Hashem. Not as just an individual. Prayer is meant to be deeply, deeply individual. Each one of us from the place that we're in. But yet with the shared collective goal of drawing close to Hashem. Not just as an individual, but as a community. As a tzibur, as a kehillah, drawing close together to be close to Hashem. And this is the idea where it says, Aval atem shahalachtem kol echad michem avor tzdarchos haprati shelachem. And the Baal Shem Tov says that each of you went out on your own way to do whatever it was that each of you needed to do. Nira bezeh shelo haya ha'ava beinechem b'shas hatefillah karoi. That if you truly loved each other during davening, not just about love for the Baal Shem Tov, but love for each other, then we would support each other. We wouldn't want to leave this room. And he says, but all the more so to not have ahava, like in the mashal of the pyramid, for the one who's about to reach the bird. So the whole thing came crumbling. With an ultimate connection. This is the reason to daven with a minyan. To say, yes, there's the idea that each of our tefillahs combine together and go up. But it's to say, how do I draw close to Hashem? By being close to other Yidden. How do I draw close? By showing love for others. Together, joining together. Especially when there's a leader like the Baal Shem Tov. Especially joining together amongst a leader who's going to uplift. To reach his ultimate chesed. Which in the mashal, which in the story was this bird they were trying to catch. We go to minyan and we look around the room and we say, I'm not just here to daven for me, I'm here to daven for others. And the love and hiskashrus and togetherness and connection that we feel for each other is what allows our tefillah to take root. And the Baal Shem Tov said, and this is even very vulnerable, we would say, of the Baal Shem Tov, of a leader, to say, without the support of each other, we can't accomplish. Without the support that we have for one another, even a great leader like the Baal Shem Tov can't accomplish what he needs to, can't accomplish what he's able to, because we rely on each other. That's piece number one. The next part is about reaching a place, now that we've established that the way to reach a place in tefillah is by iskashrus together, by connecting one to another. The Baal Shem Tov says, Yachshav kodem tefillah, person should have a thought before he davens. Shehu mucham lamus ba'osa tefillah. Now this is heavy. He says that a person should feel, I'm ready to die in this davening. I'm ready for my soul to leave. That's a serious statement. It's a big statement. What does that mean? You've got things to do. You have people you want to be with. You have a family. You have friends. You have a lot to live for. You have a lot that you want to enjoy in life. But you say, "Shu muchan lamus ba'isay tefillah." The person says, "I'm ready. I'm ready to go in this davening." Mechmas godel hakavana, through the intense and powerful intention of kavana. And there are people who are so focused in their tefillah, but it's as if they actually could die. Even within the first few letters, within the first few words. Says, come on, let me set myself back down to earth. Says, what, after just a few words, I'm gonna let my soul leave? Now this is a crazy teaching. We're saying, Rabbi Melech Lezhensky actually has a piece in Setel Katan where he says a person should feel with Ava for Hashem, ready to like as if he's ready to jump into a fire. So what does this mean? I believe to understand that could be understood as a fire of passion. It means also a fire, but it means a fire of passion. And this idea from the Baal Shem Tov is to say that when you reach such a place of Atzilus, it's as if this physical world doesn't have as much of a hold on you. So the derech of tzaddikim is that when they're davening, it's as if their soul can leave their body. Story of a certain tzaddik that would give a very emotional goodbye to his family before he went to Shachris every day. He said, what do you mean you're just going to Shachris and you're coming home? And he said in a way that is explained in this piece, is that while he's davening, he feels, I might not make it back. His soul goes to such a place that is beyond and me'aver this world. And I might not make it back because I'm out in this other place. Now we should all come back from our davening. We should daven and then we should come back down. But this is a big teaching of connection. That when we're reaching a place where we're so connected, we have to remember to also be grounded and come back down to this world. But this is exactly what happened to us by Har Sinai. What happened? We said to Hashem, I want to receive the Torah from you directly. I don't want to hear it from Moshe. I want the Aseret Dibrus from you. I want you to say it. I want to hear it from your mouth, so to speak. What happened? Hashem said, okay, you got it. I don't recommend it. I don't think you're going to be able to handle it. But fine, let's see. Then Hashem, God gave over and spoke to us. And what happened? Promptly, as expected, our souls left our body. Why? Because there's no symptom. The nature of our soul is the craziest teaching, because the nature of our soul is like a flame of a fire that's always rising upwards. The nature of the soul of a person is to not be willing to be stagnant, to not be willing to stay still. And the soul would like to shed the confines of the body, the desires of the body and the confines of the body. The soul would like that. The soul would like to say, I just want to go back to my source. I just want to be a part of Hashem. That's what your soul is. So the nature of a neshama is to not want to be confined by the body. Now, the more we become spiritually sensitive, the more that sounds less out there, and the more we're like, yeah, I get that. The more we become more spiritually sensitive, the more we can say, yeah, I relate to that. I see how that fits. I see how that works. But to one who is less spiritually sensitive, who has allowed the body to control and dull the spiritual senses, hearing this can sound very eccentric and strange. But the emes is that when Hashem reveals himself to us without symptom, our soul can't handle it. Well, our soul can handle it, but it's like a magnet in which we just leave our body. So when we reach such a place of atzilus through davening, our soul says, I'm ready to leave. And then it's a chesed gadol that Hashem puts us back. So the next piece goes about this also. And it says, B'shem Baal Shem Tov, she'amar sheneis gadol hu, she'adam chai acher tefillah. You have to understand what the tefillah of the Baal Shem Tov must have looked like for him to say that it's a chesed from Hashem that a person is still alive after davening. How is it a chesed from Hashem that a person is still alive after davening? It's that when a person is so connected in that way and they just rip away the layers and levels of symptom in the world, then yeah, it is an ace, because their soul could actually leave. Shelo yatsa nishmaso migoydel hadvekus, that from the level of dvekus, of being glued, of being connected to Hashem in the deepest way possible, literally glued to Him, and then your soul is meant to come back to a body? That's bizarre. It's almost bizarre to say that we're going to come back. But that's Ratz V'Shav. And that's the beauty of this world. The beauty of this world is that our soul really doesn't want to be here. Our soul is like, what did I sign up for? This place is crazy. This place is crazy. But the beauty of the world is that at one point we say, you know what, this place is crazy, that I'm going to be metake, and I'm going to do a little bit here, and I'm going to do a little bit there, and I'm going to fix this, and I'm going to fix that, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And suddenly your soul has created a dwelling place for God in the lowest realms, in the lowest places. Not that what's the great accomplishment of our soul just escaping back to its source. It's beautiful, but that's not a great accomplishment. To create a dwelling place in a place that is so hard to make a dwelling place for godliness, that's an accomplishment. And that is the idea of tikkun, and that is the idea of galus. That is the idea of this world, of being mitaken. Hamidaber below machshava hu kamo motzi zera levatala chumran tzlan. So you have an idea from the Baal Shem Tov that he says that one who is medaber below machshava is like one who takes an opportunity to build and to grow and uses it in a way that is not to build and to grow. And he compares that to Kimomotzi Zer Levatala. Now what that means is that when we daven, we have an opportunity for connection to build and to create. Similar to within intimacy of a husband and wife. There's an ability to build and to create, to nurture a relationship. So too within prayer, we have the opportunity to look at our davening, and our davening can nurture our relationship to Hashem. It can make us more sensitive to who we are and more in tune with our soul and with the world and to other Jews around us. Or we can mumble through a few things, do all the right actions, but not lead us to anywhere of deeper connection. And the Baal Shem Tov gives us kind of a heads up, a warning of sorts, that midaber below machshava, just to say words without knowing who am I standing in front of and why am I praying and what am I doing with my prayer? Where am I, who am I, and what am I accomplishing? To go through prayer without any of that. And it's as if we're doing all the right motions, but with the completely wrong intent and with the wrong implementation. And we keep going. Sha'adam madrega katana, as tov yoter l'spal mitoch hasidr. So now we give going into some practical advice of how to daven. So it's saying, how much should I be looking into my siddur? How much should I be trying to reach a place through prayer, a place of meditation where I'm not looking in my siddur and I'm not fully grounded by reality? So obviously if I have to look in my siddur visually and see things, then in some ways I am more grounded. And by allowing myself to not see in a physical sense that which is around me, maybe I'm able to reach a higher place of connection. So Baal Shem Tov says that a person has to know where they're holding. So he says, when a person is in a place of Meichen de Katnos, so then he should focus in the Siddur. Why? Because otherwise he's just going to be distracted. Because when a person is in a place of Meichen de Katnos, of small-mindedness, of not reaching a place of broadness in understanding and broadness in connection, that when a person sees the letters, it allows them to focus. But when a person is connected in the highest way, when a person is really feeling a connection to Hashem through their tefillah, as yoter tov liskor einav, it's better to close their eyes, so that the looking into the siddur doesn't bring you down to being overly grounded. Think back to the beginning about the pyramid. Looking into the siddur would be like going back down on the pyramid as opposed to reaching that place. But I think it's also very personal. I think different people have different ways of connecting and different people have different techniques. And each of us should look and say, by davening inside the siddur, is that a technique that helps me or is that a technique that harms me? And to really look and see what serves me and serves my ability to connect to Hashem through prayer. Continuing on this idea, he says, a chacham einav birosho. So we know the Mishnah in Avos, it says, a chacham einav birosho. Person is thinking ahead. Someone who's intelligent is able to foresee what one action leads to another and what one decision leads to another. So a person has to be self-aware. That's what it means. Chacham einav birosho, a big part of that is just being self-aware. And a person could change from day to day. And if he sees that right now I'm tarud and I'm just pulled in a million directions, I know that I'm not going to have great kavanah, so I'm going to direct myself to focus, to zone in. Ben biyom u'toch achsav, kasher, u'kshemitgamrim alav machshavas zaros, and when a person has thoughts that are distracting from prayer, az yispal katinok ben yomo mitoch haktav, to really just focus inwards into the words, which will ground you, because you need grounding at that moment. Kasher in mori alatzmo It says even about the Baal Shem Tov that when he felt he was in a place that he was not able to focus in a broad way, he would simply stare at the words, and that would give him that focus. And be glued to the words. So that's within the world of Asiyah. Why? It's seeing. So there's different ways to connect and different ways to channel from the different olamos. So if I'm channeling from the world of Asiyah means this world here in front of me. So this world here in front of me is tangible, physical, real. So I look at something tangible, physical, and real, such as my sitter. Kitevas ksav hureshitevas keser shalmachos shu taf al yedei bina. Okay. So until a person is in a place of a darga elyona of Moichin the Gadlus, they should serve Hashem through Asiyah. Is the idea of wherever you are, that's the place to serve Hashem. It's not about reaching some unattainable height. It's about here I am, and here's the place I connect from. And that's such a yesod of, such a foundational teaching of Hasidus, is here's where I am. It requires so many things. It requires self-awareness to know where I am. And then once you say, here I am, Hashem, this is where I am. I'm going to serve you from here, from this place that I'm in. There's a story once where someone came to Rav Nachman and said, I keep getting these manias and I keep getting into this place where I'm so distracted and I feel like I just can't talk to Hashem or I can't serve Hashem from this place. What should I do? He says, serve Hashem from a place of being distracted. Same person comes back and says, I'm trying to do spodidus, I'm trying to talk to Hashem, but I can't find the words. Says, talk about how you can't find the words. That everything comes back to what? Every single thing comes back to this idea of saying, I can serve Hashem from there. I can serve Hashem from that exact place, whether it's Moichin the Katnus, whether it's Moichin the Gadlus, whatever the place is. And guess what? Through serving from a place of Moichin the Katnus, you end up in a place of Gadlus. So let's recap just a little bit. We are recapping to say the story of the bird. The story where the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh said, we stand on each other's shoulders, we support each other, and by coming to Minyan, by being part of a tzibur, we are being miyached one to another. After that, we say that we should daven from a place of allowing ourselves to feel, I'm not in Asiyah. I'm able to go into Atzilus. That's what we should say. As bizarre as that sounds and unattainable as that sounds, it's a reality that every single one of us can reach. A place of real, when we say transcendence, we don't mean transcendence from our soul. It's transcendence to. It's not transcendence from. It's transcendence to a place that we are already in and just bringing it to consciousness. Just bringing it to a place that is already there and just being, okay, so now I'm conscious of the place that is already there. And to wrap that up is to say, Katnus, godless, broad-minded, small, I can reach heights, I'm in a small place, I'm distracted, I'm focused, see? From there I serve Hashem. Okay, Hashem should bless us to be able to look at ourselves and say, from there I serve Hashem. Okay, Shkoyach.